Ladies and gentle weebs, my fellow flames of Amethyst, welcome back to another video. My name is the Amethyst Abrams, and this is going to be my full review of 1.3, what I liked and what I didn't like. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought of the 1.3 story. And without further ado, guys, let's get into this. So, overall, the story was good. Overall, the story was very good. I very much enjoyed the story of 1.3. I thought it was the best story that Kuro Games have done for Wuthering Waves so far, followed by 1.1, followed by 1.0. 1.2 I don't really count because it was mainly a character story and mainly a filler story surrounding Zhang Liao, which was good, but it wasn't really a main story as such. 1.3 was a very good story. I very much enjoyed it. Has its pros and cons. We meet Yoo-Hoo and Yang Yang at the start of the story. We get to know Yoo-Hoo briefly and what she can do. We're able to actually use Yoo-Hoo on our team, which is really, really cool. She's exactly how I imagine she would play like. She's very quirky. She does buff and debuff. And she does do a lot of damage depending on the quick time events. So what I thought she would be like, she is exactly like, which makes me want to summon and play her when she's available to us on the second banner coming later down the line of the update. We meet a few more of the Black Shore members, and we basically find we tried to find survivors because something happens in Port City, the city where the Inferno Rider happens. One of the researchers said we need to go try and find survivors for her lost research team. We find them, they're all dead. Simple as that. They're all dead, and we figure out that something bad is happening with Port City and surrounding Port City. There's like an anomaly, something to do with the lament, and we have to figure out what it is. We meet like a hive mind like entity that calls itself Hoda. However, it refers to itself as us, which tells me there was multiple different entities within that voice, not just Hoda. And it beckons to us, it calls to us, and it tells us that we had to fulfill some sort of promise. At the time, though we didn't know what it meant, we were going to find out a little bit later, as it connects a lot to the main story and the main plot of 1.3. And I thought this part was pretty good. It was quite creepy. It gave me creepy vibes. I was invested. I was very much enthralled and hooked at this point, and I wanted to know what the hell was going on. We then get attacked by a barrage of tacit discords, and then we get saved by Shorekeeper. We get saved by Shorekeeper, we get brought to the Black Shores. Just us, Yang Yang and Yoo-Hoo are teleported back to Jinzhou, and we are teleported to the Black Shores. We then explore the Black Shores because it leads us down a path. We explore the Black Shores' underground cave system, and then we meet Alto again, which was quite nice to see. However, there was a problem with Alto's appearance that I had a problem with. I'll explain that a little bit down the road. So we meet Alto again. He explains a brief description of what the hell's going on, and he basically tells us that the person that saved us was Shorekeeper. We don't know anything about Shorekeeper as our memories are still erased, as we don't know what happened to them, and the Black Shores hopefully was going to resolve a lot of those issues. We get introduced to these little cute Kuro bots, literally Kuro Games, you know, the icon of Kuro Games. Those little, that icon of Kuro Games, the robot, is in Wuthering Waves. They're called K-bots, and they have different names based on different roles. So you've got K Money, which is like the banker. You've got K Key, which is like the key worker guy that works all around the islands. There's loads of them. It's really, really cool. Really nice little thing that they added there. Definitely something that I very much enjoyed seeing. It's quite funny as well. We meet a few more members of the Black Shores, like a few more researchers, a few more sort of little people that work there. No important characters like Camellia, though. We don't see Camellia, which I think they're saving for 1.4 story, but I would have thought we would have seen Camellia. We go up to the observatory tower, and we find this piano. Abby shows up a few times in this story as well, which is nice to see. Nice to see Abby's back, and again, she isn't too much. They implement Abby quite nicely in this story. We play this piano and it triggers a memory. We don't know what the memory is, but we hear a voice, we hear a woman's voice, and we hear our own voice. However, it's not the voice that we recognize because we don't remember saying that, because our memories do not are not there right now. Like, we don't have the memories of our old life. So it's our voice, and it's a woman's voice, presumably shorekeeper, and then we have to sort of investigate what the hell's going on. Essentially, the Black Shores tether system, which is the system that runs the Black Shores and the system that can locate and track down and find laments before they happen to prevent them from causing chaos to the populated area, that becomes corrupted. We have to then go around the Black Shore map and basically purify and decorrupt 3 or 4 towers that have different puzzles and different challenges, which I thought was pretty good, pretty engaging. It was a little bit slow. The first part of the story was a little bit slow, but I believe it was needed. I know some people like a more fast-paced story, which is completely fine. I, for one, thought the pacing was okay. There was a few points where I was like, there's a lot of talking here, there's a lot of talking here. But then I kind of got over it because it is what it is, and I accepted the story for what it was. And I thought, hey, I'm hoping for a payoff. We find out that the Black Shores tether system is corrupted. We go around and purify the different towers around the Black Shores, which purifies the tether system and stops the corruption from spreading, which is really, really cool. And we get introduced to new puzzle systems. We get introduced to new gadgets. The portal system gets introduced. We literally play, those of you that played Portal and Portal 2, you will know exactly where the inspiration of these new puzzles came from, because it literally is Portal's mechanics, with a little bit of a twist. Not exactly the same, but you can tell the inspiration's there, which is also very nice to see, because I played Portal 2. I never played the original Portal, but I played Portal 2 briefly, and I remember enjoying it. We then get officially introduced to the character that was corrupting the tether system, and it was called Hoda. And Hoda is essentially a black hole. Hoda is the essence of a black hole with millions and millions of lives, millions of souls that are trapped within the black hole, because the black hole that they're talking about is a lament. It is a lament. They're referring to the lament as a cataclysmic event. In this case, it is a black hole. And millions of souls that have died to a lament are trapped in Hoda. They're trapped in this system, in the tether system, in the black hole within Hoda. And then we get introduced to Shorekeeper. Shorekeeper gives us a brief description of who we were in the past, which triggers a few more memories. We now know that we have some sort of close relationship to Shorekeeper, and that we were very close in certain ways. Not at this point, we're not sure if we were friends, something less, something more, but we were close with Shorekeeper. And she explains to us that we basically are in charge. We are the person that essentially created the Black Shores as a group, and we created the Black Shores with loads of different recruits and loads of different people, and they refer to us as the leader of the Black Shores. Bearing in mind, we don't remember this, but this is what we're being told, and then we're seeing flashback images of who we used to be, which is quite nice. Purifying the tether system opens up a sort of rift that goes to the center of the Black Shores HQ. Alto is no longer seen again. Alto is no longer seen again until the very end of the story. The whole point of Alto was to basically give us a rundown of what the Black Shores is. He's happy to see us. He runs over when he first is. Oh my god, is it you? Is it Rover? Oh my god. Great little reunion. Really fun. However, I thought his role in the story was kind of Kuro putting him there just for explanation's sake. They needed someone to explain what the Black Shore is, what's going on. He doesn't really do anything other than talk to us throughout the story. And I thought it would have been more beneficial to either have Alto do something action-based, or do something that is more that's going to be more meaningful to the story, other than just pop up and going, oh, thank you so much for the tower, now go to the next one. Oh, thank you so much, now can you do this for me? Oh, you're amazing, you have such great power, you're so skillful, can you fix this please? Thank you. He basically gives us instructions, and it is an explanation person for what we have to do, what the Black Shores is, and yada 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 yada. That kind of person. Which isn't a problem, but I would have much rather had a new character introduced to do something like that. I feel like they just had to have a character that was a fan favorite, because Alto's a fan favorite throughout the fan base. And they had to go, people love Alto, let's put Alto in there. Not a problem, but can you please make him do something a little bit more than just talk? But that's just my opinion. People are going to disagree with me on this, and that's completely fine. I don't care. Your opinion is your opinion. My opinion is my opinion. We'll move on. So we go to the core. We go to the central plane of the Blackshaw's hideout, where we get introduced. We meet Shorekeeper again, and essentially it's explained to us that the tether system uses uses the signature and a fragment of a past lament, which is the black hole, to locate another lament. So we're basically using the thing we're trying to stop and destroy to find the things that are destroying things all over the world. Which for me is kind of like, okay, I want to know more about this, because this is interesting. So the laments, which are things that are capable of mass destruction, things that are a no-no, and the Blackshaw's is using a lament to track down other laments. And the reason for this is the tether system needs a core. It needs a core of mass power, a core of mass energy to essentially just power it, just to make it work, essentially, to work the AI in order to do that. And they found that, and we figured out in our past life, we figured out a way to do that by using and containing a lament itself, which is a black hole, which is powering the tether system, or the tether system is using the energy signatures and the energy and the power of this black hole lament to find and prevent others from happening, which is cool. But I was like, okay, I can see this going wrong already. We go through a few more challenges, we go through a few more puzzles, we fight a lot of digitally created tacit discords for whatever reason, which we find out. And we save a few more characters. A character dies. Another character dies that is introduced to us. It's a sad death, but it is what it is. It wasn't anyone that we'd met before. It was a new character, and we keep moving. We then get to the point where we can essentially enter the tether system, itself, but not before we meet the physical body of Shorekeeper. We meet the physical body of Shorekeeper, we're introduced to Shorekeeper herself, and then she basically reveals to us that she was created as a tool to live, sustain, guard, and essentially just be the overall overseer of the Blackshaw's and to keep the tether system in check. And she was created by us in our past life. She was created by the Blackshaw's and us in our past life to be a tool to oversee and correct basically everything that goes on in the Blackshaw's. And we figured this out. We find this out. And we're not happy about this. And we essentially find out that the reason we left the Blackshaw's in our past life is because we didn't agree with the fact that a sentinel being, a sentient being, a thinking and feeling being, which is Shorekeeper, though we created Shorekeeper, we did not agree with the fact that she was used as a tool to basically control and keep the tether system under control, and to keep everything in check and to keep everything moving smoothly, because it's quite inhumane. There's more to it, but it's her existence is quite inhumane, it's quite cruel, and we didn't agree with it, which is the reason why we left. We find out more to why we left as well. There's more to it, but that's one of the reasons. We then go into the tether system with Shorekeeper, with the physical embodiment of Shorekeeper, And we basically go around old Port City. We find out what Port City used to look like before it was in ruin. And we're introduced to all of these souls that are trapped. All of these souls that are trapped in the black hole that are from previous laments. In this circumstance, we see trapped souls from Port City before the lament destroyed them. Okay, so there's like fragments of who they were before they died. We find out that the Black Shores tried to send a signal to Port City to evacuate Port City before the lament struck. However, there was complications, there was errors, something happened which delayed the signal, which means that the evacuation couldn't be completed in time, which is the reason why these people lost their lives. It actually is very emotional. It's very emotional. It got me. A few times this story got me. But we continue. We then get to the very core of the tether system, and we can see the black hole, the big eclipse, solar eclipse, lunar, the blood moon black hole, the red black hole that we saw in the trailer, and it begins to become unstable. It becomes unstable. Now, what happens is, it chooses us. It doesn't suck in Shorekeeper at first. It becomes unstable, and it starts to drag us into the core of the black hole. It starts to drag us into the black hole. The reason for this is crazy. It's crazy, and it gets even more emotional. Shorekeeper stops the black hole from absorbing us as its core, and she sacrifices herself to become the tether system's core. She sacrifices herself to become the new tether system core to sustain the lament. And then we find out that the reason the tether system was seeking a core is because it was essentially losing control and was unable to sustain the lament for much longer. So it needed a new core, and its main target was us. And Shorekeeper knew its main target was us. So the reason why Shorekeeper agreed to guide us through the tether system to get to the core, to find out what the problem was, is because she knew that the tether system would want us as its core, and it wouldn't accept anything else as its core other than the rover. So then in that precise moment, she then sacrificed herself to become the new temporary core to save us from dying and being absorbed by the black hole. This was an unexpected turn of events. I didn't think this would happen. I didn't think Shorekeeper would die. We then go to a really beautiful area of a sunrise in the background, or a sunset, beautiful watered lakes or oceans, leaves and Blake blooms flying around, a piano, and Shorekeeper's there. And essentially, this was the final moment before Shorekeeper died. And we find out that Shorekeeper basically says that she planned it from the beginning to sacrifice herself to save our lives. And she wanted us above all else. Like, we are her top priority. She cares about us too much, and she wanted to keep us safe no matter the cost. There's an emotional exchange, and just before Shorekeeper dies, she looks at us and essentially says, everything that I've experienced with you, regardless whether you remember it or not, has been the best moments of like her life, and the feeling that she shouldn't feel but does feel is love. She confesses her love to us, and then she fades away, like Thanos' snap in Infinity War. She fades away, and I cried. It got me. I cried. Yeah, I bawled my eyes out. I cried my ass off. because I genuinely was like, I felt I really did connect with Shorekeeper on a personal level playing this story, and there's little tidbits going through when you're sort of getting to know Shorekeeper and when you're exploring these different places with Shorekeeper. You find out more about her, how she connects to Rover, how Rover connects to her, and you find out the relationship you basically start to figure out the relationship they once had and how special it was. And I personally connected and resonated with that. So seeing that scene where she dies really affected me. It really did affect me. And then we basically go back to the HQ. We come out. We get drawn out of the tether system, and we basically tell everyone that Shorekeeper's no longer with us. Everyone's really upset. Everyone gets emotional. Everyone sort of doesn't know what to do now. And then a scientist comes up with an ingenious plan, which is the fact that if the tether system absorbed all of these souls and all of these bodies and all of these people, their signature could, and the fact that they're showing the souls, they're showing the people from Port City, and their energy signature is still there. Is it possible to essentially reverse the polarity, reverse engineer it, and essentially reverse what happened to them, manifesting them back into the physical realm, essentially bringing them back to life? And it's a very far-fetched thing. Everyone's like, oh, is that even possible? Like, can we even do that? And then the scientist was like, theoretically, they never died. Like, their bodies no longer existed. It was absorbed into the tether system. Their souls are still there, trapped in a limbo, trapped in an infinite cycle. So theoretically, we can save them. So then we construct an elaborate plan to save these people and bring back Shorekeeper and save Shorekeeper. Then there's like a really cool moment where Rover has this badass speech to the entirety of the Black Shores and is essentially saying, I'm going to bring her back. All the work that we've done has led to this moment. I may not know every single one of you, and I may not remember everything that happened, but I remember this moment now. I'm going to bring her back. I'm going to bring these people back, and I'm going to save the day. And I'm going to basically do the impossible. And we get introduced to one of the most badass sort of like intense chase scenes where the tether system is basically trying to prevent us from saving Shorekeeper and the rest of the souls from Port City, because in the tether system's mind, it's without a core, the lament will become unstable, engulf everything, and the whole world is in jeopardy. Because that's what the tether system was created for. It was doing what it was designed to do. And we were like, fuck that, there's another way. Like, we figured out another way to do this. And then the tether system was like, well, I can't see that other way working. Therefore, you are a virus. I need to stop you. And I need to prevent you from doing this. So then we're basically fighting the tether system, traversing through portals and different maps and different biomes. And there's so much going on. Like, where we're flipping, we're ziplining, we're Spider-Maning it through, we're running on trains, like there's moving objects flying at us, and there's moving vehicles we need to dodge and avoid. Really, really, really cool little montage. Like, really cool little protagonist moment. And then we finally get to the core of the tether system. The new core of the tether system. And then we fight the brand new sort of like Started Predatum Echo that looks like the Destiny 2 villain. And it's a really cool boss fight. Not difficult, but a really cool boss fight that I thoroughly enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed that boss fight. Though it be brief, it was cool to do. And then there's one of the most badass cutscenes I think I've seen, which is Rover essentially taking out so many enemies with such prowess, such precision, and then we save Shorekeeper because the tether system is like, right, that's it. We're destroying Shorekeeper for good because this is just, we need to target the tether system. Basically, was like, we're going to destroy Shorekeeper's remains and basically absorb her completely. That way, no one can basically disrupt the new core. We save Shorekeeper with this epic cutscene, which is really, really cool. And then we get another cutscene, which is another emotional one, where Rover starts to remember the relationship he had with Shorekeeper. The reason why he left, the reason why Rover left, is because he didn't like the fact that Shorekeeper was created as a tool. He grew attached to her, he started falling for her, and he wanted to find another way to sustain the tether system's core, because he predicted that the core would eventually become unstable and it would either require him or it would require Shorekeeper to become the brand new core. And since he was the leader of the Black Shores at the time, he was the leader, the guy, the big dog, the big man of the Black Shores. They would have had to have chosen Shorekeeper to become the new core, because they wouldn't allow Rover to become it, because Rover's obviously the leader. And they needed Rover sort of to guide them and shit like that. So he left to find basically a new way to sustain the core without having to sacrifice Shorekeeper to do it, because obviously them two clearly fell in love in the past life, clearly had something going on, and he just couldn't let that slide. He couldn't let that slide. So yeah, he went off to find a new way, to find a new solution to sustaining the core, to stop the lament from becoming unstable. And yeah, it's an emotional love story. It's a tragic love story. This update was a tragic love story. However, when the epilogue of the story is, we wake up, so we sort of cut like 2 days later. It's been 2 or 3 days since the events of the story. Shorekeeper's been saved, the souls have been saved, and they're free to basically go into the afterlife. They're not trapped in the tether system anymore, and we managed to save Shorekeeper physically, because the tether system didn't quite absorb Shorekeeper completely, so we could save her physical manifestation and save her physical form, which means that she is present in the day-to-day life. I think, don't quote me on that, that's what I got from it. We then go and find Shorekeeper 2 or 3 days later, and then we're like, what the hell's happened? How is the core sustainable? How is the tether system still running without a sustainable core? And then the Shorekeeper gives us the line of, oh, we found a new core. We figured out a way. We found the brand new core to sustain the tether system, to stop it from malfunctioning, and to stop the lament from becoming unstable. We figured it out. Doesn't tell us how they figured it out. They just go, we figured it out. There's a new core. We figured it out. Which is okay. I can see it really really annoying a lot of people. It's okay. I sort of was like, okay, cool. Sure. For argument's sake and for plot's sake, sure. Plot armor. Why not? Everything has plot armor. Your favorite animes have plot armor. Your favorite characters from animes have plot armor. This is the plot's armor. For the plot, they managed to just basically pull that out of their ass and go, we figured out a way to sustain the core. In the past 2 to 3 days. Don't ask how we did it, but we did it. And then yeah, that's the story. You know, that's the story. Overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna give it a 9. It's not a perfect 10 for me. From you know, it's very tropey. The story is very tropey. I am a sucker for tropes. I am a hopeless romantic. I love a tragic love story, whether it's written exceptionally well or written okay, mediocre. I love a tragic love story, and I like tropey things. And that's okay. I'm allowed to like tropey things. I think Alto's insertion in the story could have been way better. I think that was kind of just a throwaway way of saying, look, here's Alto. We know people love Alto. Let's bring Alto back. Here you go. When you could have incorporated Alto in a different way, you know, you could have given the role Alto had in this story to Camellia. You could have brought Camellia into it, and you could have given. It would have given shine to Camellia as a character, because she could have, you know, you could have had essentially the same role as what Alto had, but changed the script ever so slightly to suit Camellia's character, you know. And then you could have teased the story that we're going to get at 1.4, because Camellia is obviously coming in 1.4's version, you know, in the story of 1.4. So why not why not shoehorn her into the story instead of Alto? Have Alto and Encore there. I mean, we've got Encore's character story. You could have had Alto and Encore together in Encore's character story, and have Camellia be what Alto was in the 1.3 main story. I think that would have been a little bit better, but just change the script to suit Camellia's story. The way she talks to you, the way she flirts, the way she sort of is obsessed with you. Have her talk in that way, but have the same premise. She's figured out that the tether system is corrupt, and there's all this shit going on, and she knows what to do. It would make more sense. In my opinion, it would have made more sense to have Camellia do that role than an older character like Alto, who could have just been elsewhere, doing something probably more important to his character rather than this. In my opinion. In my personal opinion. But overall, I thought the action was very good. I thought the pacing overall was decent. There was a couple of slow parts, but I really enjoyed the story overall from a pacing point of view. I liked the storytelling. I liked the ton of lore drop. I liked the relationship between Shorekeeper and Rover. I didn't like the ending line of, we just figured out how to restore the core and find a new core, or how to stabilize it, or whatever they did. I would have much rather them show us how they did it, whether it be in like still frames or like a narration while you see them doing it in still frames, no motion cutscenes, but something that would have been cool. But hey, maybe we'll find out what this new core is in 1.4. You know, maybe we'll figure it out. But overall, guys, I enjoyed the story. I thought Yoo-Hoo was a nice little introduction. I thought I like the fact that they're not like Yang Yang and Yoo-Hoo had their role to play at the start of the story, and yeah, they had their role to play. They fulfilled their purpose in the story. They were transported back to Jinzhou, and then this story is primarily about us, Shorekeeper, and the Black Shores. But yeah, that's my overall review. It's not in depth. This is not my in-depth nitpicking every single thing, but that's my overall review. And I don't think there's anything else that I did or that I didn't like. The puzzles were good. I don't think there was anything else I didn't like, other than the two main things of the ending line that basically closed off the story was a little bit sort of like plot armor-ish, and Alto's role, because I just think that Alto could have been used in a more useful way, and either a brand new character that can be playable in the future, or Camellia could have had the role that Alto had. But that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. And yeah, guys, take it easy.